The evening Jack, an experienced trucker, got behind the wheel of his truck. He could not have predicted that it would be the most unusual trip of his life. The noise of the engine, the smell of fresh rain on the pavement, and the single headlight that lit the way in the darkness of the night seemed to be his usual companions. But soon he noticed a strange thing. The lorry weighed much more than it should. Jack felt it, too, as he started to move, the truck sliding heavily on the road. He tried adjusting his speed several times, but the feeling of strange heaviness didn't go away. Soon, a few kilometers before the nearest town, Jack began to hear strange noises coming from the bodywork. Initially he thought it was just wear and tear on the equipment, but the sounds got louder and louder, and with each new creak, something inside the body seemed more and more alive. There was a strange feeling that something or someone was in there. He thought it might have been some crates or weights that were starting to shift, but such sounds were something unnatural that made the body start to shake. He decided not to stop and keep moving to find out what was going on. Time passed, and the sound coming from the body became more and more pronounced. Jack didn't know what to think anymore. He decided to make a few stops to check what was going on, but every time he got out of the cab, the sounds faded away as if nothing had happened. He returned to the cab, started the engine, and continued on his way, only to hear that horrifying noise again a short time later. The tension was building with every kilometer. Jack could no longer ignore what was happening in the back of the truck. He tried to reason logically. Maybe it was an animal, or maybe there was something wrong with the cargo. However, with each step, uncertainty grew inside him. He knew he couldn't let this mystery go unsolved. As night consumed the world around him, Jack decided that he couldn't handle it any longer without looking into the back of the truck. He stopped the truck, jumped sharply out of the cab and, with a nervous hand, opened the rear body door. In the darkness he saw something he couldn't imagine. The body was empty, and only a few footprints were visible on the sides, as if something big had been there but had disappeared. Everything was so quiet that Jack felt a chill run down his back. He backed up and went to the cab to leave, but at that moment something rustled in the back of the truck. Looking round, Jack saw in the back of the body a small figure hiding among the cargo. The creature was alive. Its face was hidden by a dark mask, and its eyes glittered in the darkness like something sinister. Jack realized to his horror that his truck was being used for something else entirely. He remembered that his last order had been with an unusual clientele, some people he hadn't worked with before, and now he was witnessing what was going on in the back of the truck. These people, or someone else, were using his car for covert purposes. With terror in his heart, he realized that he had just become part of something very dangerous that he didn't even know about. Not knowing what to do, he decided to report to the police immediately. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. In front of him, among the crates, sat a little girl. Her clothes were dirty, her face covered with dust, and her eyes were frightened. She looked as if she did not know where she was or how she had got here. He looked carefully around the body. Everything seemed to be in place, but the feeling of unease persisted. Nothing explained the child's presence in his truck. The road around him remained deserted, and the silence only added to the tension. The girl looked exhausted and frightened. She sat huddled against the side of the truck and kept her eyes on Jack. It seemed as if she could not remember how she had come to be here. Heavy weight of doubt fell on the trucker's shoulders. This didn't seem like a random break-in. Everything around him seemed too quiet, too strange. He sensed there was something more behind it. Jack made a decision. He helped the girl out of the truck and put her in the cab. She was shivering with cold, but she didn't say a word. When the truck started up again, the night road seemed endlessly empty. Only the light of the headlights pierced the darkness, picking out the rare road signs. The girl sat motionless, staring straight ahead. There were no tears in her eyes, but something in her expression made Jack feel uneasy. After driving a few miles, Jack began to notice something strange. Headlights loomed in the rearview mirror. The car behind him was moving too smoothly, neither shortening nor widening its distance. The feeling of being followed grew stronger and stronger. It felt like he was being watched. The girl sat still, but her breathing became deeper, as if she sensed something. The cabin became uncomfortable. An oppressive silence filled the space, making the atmosphere even more oppressive. Jack felt trapped by the unknown, the pressure of the unknown, and the headlights behind him were like a gaze from which there was no escape. He kept moving, but the feeling of unease persisted. Something was wrong, and the answer to that question was clearly near him, in the form of an unexpected passenger whose past remained a mystery. The headlights behind him remained at the same distance, as if the driver of the pursuing car were waiting for the right moment. Jack felt his anxiety rising inside him. He glanced at the girl, who was still staring silently ahead, as if nothing was happening. He decided to speed up. The lorry roared to life, picking up speed, but the headlights kept up. They followed him like shadows, echoing his every movement. After a few miles, a roadside diner appeared ahead. Without thinking, Jack pulled up to it and turned off the engine. He waited. A minute later, the same car drove past, but it didn't stop. Her silhouette vanished into the darkness, but Jack sensed it wasn't over. He turned to the girl, hoping to get some answers. It was quiet inside the diner. A few truckers were lazily drinking coffee. Someone was reading a newspaper. Jack sat the girl down at a table and ordered her food. She looked up slowly, and for the first time all the way, her lips trembled. She took a spoonful, but ate as if she couldn't taste it. Jack stared at her, not knowing what to say. Something about her behavior seemed wrong. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of a bell. A man in a long black cloak entered the diner. His eyes darted around the room, and when he saw the girl, he froze for a moment. Jack sensed at once that it was no coincidence. The stranger was watching them too closely. It was obvious that he had not come by chance. The man walked slowly to the counter, ordered a coffee, but kept his eyes on their table. The girl shrank back in her seat, her fingers clenched into a fist. Jack pretended not to notice, but inside he was seething. He felt that if they didn't leave now, something would go wrong. The decision came naturally. Jack got up, paid for dinner, and, without waiting for the man's reaction, took the girl outside. The cold night air hit her in the face. He put her in the cab and was about to start the engine when he realized that the same headlights had reappeared behind him. The car that had followed them was now standing nearby, its lights off. It was too late to run. The stranger came out of the diner and headed straight for them. He held something in his hand that Jack couldn't see. He glanced at the girl, who was huddled in the seat, as if she were trying to disappear. Fear appeared in her eyes for the first time, and then Jack realized that the man was after her. The stranger approached the cabin and leaned against the window. His face was impassive, but his voice was cold. "Give her to me." Jack did not answer. He realized that if he let the girl go now, he would never see her again, or maybe no one would. Jack slowly shifted his gaze to the girl, then back to the man. The answer was obvious. He put the car into reverse, forcing the stranger to back up, and without waiting, he sped off. Screams erupted behind him. In the rearview mirror, he saw the pursuer's car trail off, but he wasn't about to give up. As Jack drove down the night motorway, the girl finally spoke. "Thank you." Only now he realized this wasn't just some random passenger. She's hiding from someone who isn't supposed to find her. But who was she? That was an answer he would find out later. Jack didn't know what he was getting himself into. He was just giving the girl a lift. But now this trip had become a real game of survival. Who is she? Who is she running from? And most importantly, will they escape? If you want to know the continuation, support the video by liking and subscribing. Who knows, maybe this story is just beginning.